Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome in across the country, the continent, and beyond for a very exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. If you're joining us for the first time, and quite a few of you are today, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. And if you're joining us for the 10th or 85th time, like one of our classes today, well, then welcome back as we continue to bring the coolest scientists and explorers on planet Earth right into your classroom. Now, today is very exciting because we are right in the midst of our epic Parks Adventure series. So every year for the last 5 years, we've had the chance to partner with the amazing folks at Parks Canada. They are some of the most special places, not just in Canada, but truly around the world. It's such a privilege to get to go coast to coast to coast to feature their stories. And we've got a lot more to come. So check out the link below and sign up for some more. We've got a lot of adventure, including a trip to Green Gables at the end of the month. Now, before I dive in with our topic du jour, I want to note we do have a Kahoot today. So between our talk and our question period, if you want to play along with a little 4-question quiz, you can pull up that game pin and do that in about 20-25 minutes. But of all our programs, and don't tell the other ones, I'm particularly excited today. We've got almost 1,000 kids joining us from around the world as we get to head to Nunavut and explore some of their epic landscapes. Nunavut is our biggest territory. It's a huge chunk of Canada. It's bigger than most of the countries in the world. And today we're going to go on a little bit of an adventure to see its most epic places, people, and animals. So without further ado, Meryl and Matthew, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us, and take us away.
Awesome. So yeah, I hear we've got kids from all over the place. So ulakut, hello, bonjour, buenos dias, and thanks, Jesse. We're so excited to present with you again, and awesome to be kicking off the Parks Adventure series with our presentations this week. So welcome everyone in class, and we're so happy to see you. Thank you for joining. And as Jesse was saying, my name is Meryl, and Matthew is here too. And today we're very excited because we're going on a trip to Auyuittuq National Park. Now, Matthew and I will start with our presentation, and then we'll also have time to answer your questions. So grab a pencil and some paper, and make sure you write down anything that you're curious about so you don't forget.
Ula ko Inuit, kubay po nga mangusap baliaw nung nataawit tumulumi. What I just said was good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to take you on a trip to Auyuittuq National Park today.
Wow. Thanks, Matthew, for that amazing introduction. Now, let me ask everyone, does anyone know what language we just heard? If you do, put your guesses in the chat.
Ooh, I'm actually going to give a second for our classes. If you guys want to put your things in the chat, we've got Miss Steinhoff and Mr. Hancock here. We've got a little bit of time today. What was the language we just heard? Does anyone know? And I'll give a hint. We actually featured a program entirely in this language 2 days ago for the second time in our history, which is very cool. We've got Cree as an answer, which we actually have featured programs in Cree before. That is not our language today. Inuktitut is coming in for Miss Riddle in Nova Scotia, and I think that might be on the ball, which is very cool.
Yeah, so yeah, another hint, Matthew, he's from a place called Pangerton near the Arctic Circle in Nunavut. So if you look at the map, Nunavut is the orange area way up in the north. And the Arctic Circle is right there in red. So the land, the water, and the ice in Nunavut are home to Inuit, the indigenous people of the Arctic. And Matthew grew up here learning the language that he just spoke. So what language was that? I see some guesses in the chat.
That's right. I see some correct answers. I was speaking Inuktitut. Inuktitut is a language spoken by Inuit all across Nunavut and beyond. Inuktitut language is really important for my culture and how we understand the world. It has different dialect and it can sound a little different depending on where people live.
Yeah, so both Matthew and I work with Parks Canada, and you've probably heard of Parks Canada before. It's an organization that takes care of some of the most amazing places all across Canada. So let's have a quick look at this map. The green dots are national parks, like Auyuittuq. The red dots are national historic sites where you can learn about important people, places, and events from the past. The blue areas, they're national marine conservation areas, and they protect oceans, lakes, and rivers. Now, Parks Canada's job is to protect these places so that we can all enjoy them, learn from them, and make sure that they're here for future generations. And we may be a little bit biased, but national parks in Nunavut, like Auyuittuq, are extra special because of how closely nature and culture are connected here, and that includes the language. Now, today, we'll learn a little bit about Inuit culture, including the language, and we'll even try pronouncing some words in Inuktitut together. Are you ready?
So
Now,
ready.
let's get started. The park we're talking about today is in the territory of Nunavut, and it's located on a big island called Baffin Island. It has two communities nearby, Pangerton on the one side of Baffin Island and Kikik on the other side. And Auyuittuq is a pretty different sounding name, isn't it? Now, let's try practicing saying it together. Matthew, can you help us out? Let's do it.
Of course. Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Ao,
Ow.
yui,
Yui.
eat, tok.
Took. Ow. Yui took.
Ao, yui, tok.
You did pretty well. I'm happy with myself.
Awesome.
Yeah, great job, everyone. The
Thank
name
you.
Auyuittuq has a special meaning in Inuktitut. It means the land that never melts. We'll soon find out why it was named that way. It's important to know that Parks Canada work with Inuit to protect the national park in Nunavut. Every important decision about the park is made together. Each national park and place in Nunavut has a committee or a group of people, like here in this photo, that makes important decision about the park. It might not look like it, but trust me, this park is huge, and it's very famous for its mountains and glaciers. Auyuittuq National Park is the oldest national park in Nunavut. It was first made into National Park Reserve in 1976. That means it is almost 50 years old. We'll have a big party next year. It is very special because of the amazing landscape. Scientists study the land and the tundra, water, and glaciers to understand and track what's happening to the environment.
Yeah, that's right. Now, national parks are generally also places people like to visit, and you might have visited a national park yourself. Now, Nunavut's national parks are a little bit different when it comes to visiting because they are extremely remote and very difficult to travel to. In fact, Auyuittuq gets only about 300 to 600 visitors a year, and sometimes even fewer. So it's less than all you guys watching us today. Now, believe it or not, this actually is the most visited national park in Nunavut. The others have even fewer visitors. But guess what? You're in luck. Today, we are all going to visit Auyuittuq National Park together virtually. Are you ready? Now let's lace up our boots and go. Okay, so something many people have on their bucket list when they visit Auyuittuq National Park is a hike through the park, and it's called the Akshayuk Pass. And that's what we're going to do today. So let's have a look at our trip plan. The route follows two very clear valleys right from one end of Baffin Island right to the other. We begin our journey in Pangerton. Remember, that's where Matthew grew up and where he's calling in from right now. In Pangerton, we'll stop at the Parks Canada office to say hello. Once we've done that, we'll take a boat through this beautiful fjord called Pangerton Fjord. It's gorgeous. We'll set up camp along the Weasel River next, and let's see what sort of animals we can find there, right? Now, after the Weasel River, we'll cross the Arctic Circle and we'll stop at Thor Peak. Now, after Thor Peak, we'll reach our highest point at Summit Lake, and we'll set up camp at Glacier Lake. And then we'll stop at the Owl River. Can you guess what animal we might find there? Hoo-hoo! Now, we'll finish our journey through the pass at North Pangerton Fjord and Kikik. We'll keep our eyes peeled for seals and polar bears from a distance, of course. Now, that sounds pretty amazing, right? Now, Matthew, can you tell us a little bit about what this route means to Inuit?
Yes, of course. Inuits are traditionally nomadics. That means they travel with the seasons to places where they could find food. This route was used by Inuit to travel to different camps where people lived and hunted animals for food, clothing, shelter, and tools. Later, before planes were the main way of travel, a doctor would travel through the pass to get from Panurtung to the next community. When the doctor traveled through the pass, he was guided by a man named Akshayuk. That is who the route was named after. Inuit still travel through the pass for a different reason. I love going to the park too, and my favorite spot in the park is Summit Lake. It's just beautiful. Okay, this is where we start our journey at my beautiful hometown called Panurtung. About 1,500 people live here, and to get here you have to take a plane. There are no roads that goes to Nunavut. You can only get here by taking a plane or a boat. To get to Pannerton, you could hop on a plane in Ottawa and fly to the capital of Nunavut, Iqaluit. Then you hop on another plane to Pannerton.
Wow, yeah, that's quite the trip. And be prepared to share your plane with mail and fresh produce for the grocery store, medicine, and anything else that might be needed in the community. Now, as you can see, the view from Pangerton is pretty amazing. And in the background, you can see where we will travel today. So from Pangerton, we'll take a boat ride through Pangerton Fjord. And after our boat ride, the first place we'll set up camp is the Weasel River. So we'll follow the Weasel River all the way to Summit Lake. And while we do that, we cross the Arctic Circle. And remember our map, anywhere north of the Arctic Circle is considered the Arctic region. Now, what you might not know is that in the Arctic region, at least once a year, the sun stays above the horizon all day and night. Wow. Imagine staying up late and it never getting dark. You could play outside at midnight and still see everything. Now, the name of this stop is the Weasel River. And as you might have guessed, while we're here, we might actually see animals like the weasel. They're also called the ermine. Another critter we might see is the Arctic fox. Now, let's learn a little bit about these fluffy characters.
In Inuktitut, the ermine is called Tiriak, and the Arctic fox is called Tiriganyak. Let's practice their Inuktitut name. Okay, so ermine is Tiriak.
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 I think I did it.
And Arctic fox is Tiriganyak. Tiriganyak. Tiriganyak.
Yeah, it's a little harder.
Awesome. Nice work, everyone.
Thank you.
Now, they look very cute, don't they? But Tiriak and Tiriganyak are both predators, which means that they're hunters. Now, ermine are very fast, and they can sneak into snow tunnels to catch small prey like lemmings, for example. And Arctic foxes, they eat almost anything: rodents, birds, insects, and even dead animals. And surprisingly, they are also experts at hunting seal pups, and they hunt them on the ice. Isn't that cool? Now, both animals have an amazing adaptation. They change fur color with the season. So in the summertime, they're reddish brown, and in the winter, they turn white to blend in. You see the difference in these photos. Now, changing color really helps them be sneaky and blend into their environment, which helps a lot when they're hunting prey. Now, how do you think the Arctic fox stays warm in freezing temperatures? Does it hibernate? Does it snuggle with the polar bear? No, it has thick fur, even on its paws, and it wraps its fluffy tail right around itself like a blanket. Now, this warm fur is also very important to Inuit in the air, and it's used for clothing like mittens, and it's also used to trade or make money. I think, yeah, Matthew has some examples of clothing as well there. Nice and cozy fur mittens, a nice parka with a fur ruff. It's really important in the Arctic climate for sure. Now, another cool adaptation is Arctic foxes are smaller than other types of foxes, and they have tiny ears to reduce heat loss in the cold winter. Now, all right, let's check out the snowy Weasel River from above. Wow. You see the river down below? Ooh, it's still looking a little bit chilly there right now, isn't it? It would be very hard to spot the fox and the ermine here with their white fur, wouldn't it?
And look, we're reaching our next destination, Thor Peak. We'll have to stop here for a little bit just to enjoy the view, right? Wow, look at it. Can you guess which mountain is Thor Peak?
The big one. The tall,
Yes.
very big cliff. It's amazing. Look at that peak.
Yes, it is that really steep one on the left side. Thor Peak was named by settlers after Thor, the Norse god of thunder, but of course it already had a name before settlers came. The name is Pesualo, Shall we practice saying that?
Let's do it.
Khet
Kak,
soa
swa,
look.
look.
Khet soa look.
So look.
Great job, everyone. Khet soa look means enormous bedrock. That's quite a good name for this mountain, isn't it?
Enormous bedrock. Yeah, that's definitely a good name. It's a solid chunk of rock for sure. Actually made of a rock type called granite. And this granite is some of the oldest rock on Earth, ranging in age from 570 million years to 3.5 billion years. Now, did you know that Kaiksualuk has the tallest vertical drop in the world? Now, just to give you an idea of how high it is, its cliff face is more than twice the height of the CN Tower. You can see the comparison in this photo here. Amazing, right? Now, Matthew, some people actually climb this mountain, right?
Yes, that's right. Over the years, there were more than 30 attempts to climb to the top. In May 1985, a team finally completed the climb. It took them 33 days. Still, every year, people try and climb this mountain and others in the area. It is a pretty famous climbing destination. Inuit didn't really venture to the top of these peaks. Not now, not in the past either. That makes a lot of sense, right? Why put yourself in danger for no reason? Now, not that far from here is another pretty cool mountain called Mount Asgard. Let's take a look at it. As you can see, the mountain in this area comes in pretty amazing shapes. Do you see the steep cliff? Mount Asgard, the one we're just about to fly over. Wow! Was featured in James Bond movie for those of you old enough to know who that is. The Inuit name for this mountain is Auyuittuq. Auyuittuq. The name means looks like a barrel. It's true, it just looks like a barrel, doesn't it? These mountains are shaped this way for a specific reason. Miro, can we talk about the shape of these mountains?
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's continue on our journey to the next spot and we'll talk all about it. Now, we've just passed Summit Lake, Matthew's favorite place in the park, and this is also our highest point. And we're setting up camp just a little further ahead at Glacier Lake. And as you might guess from its name, we're surrounded by glaciers here. Auyuittuq National Park is very well known for its glaciers, and that's why it has that name, the land that never melts. Now we can see Katauyanwa from here too. You see that big barrel? Now we wanted to know how the mountains in Auyuittuq get their shape, right? And the answer is glaciers. Now, how does that work? All right. As you might know, glaciers form from snow falling and falling and falling and building up and getting packed down over time. Now, glaciers slowly move. They're kind of like rivers of ice, and they move because of the shape of the land underneath and the weight of all that snow and ice pressing down. Now, as glaciers move, they scrape and scratch, which is also called abrasion, and they pick up rocks and dirt along the way, and this is called plucking. Water seeps under the glacier, freezes around rocks and onto the landscape, and when that glacier moves, it rips or plucks out these rocks. You can see it in the picture here. Now, cliffs above the glacier also crumble apart because of freezing and melting, because when water in the cracks of the rock freezes, it expands. It breaks the rock apart. Now, as the glacier moves, it takes away the debris over time, and it creates a pile of rocks, either at the end or the sides of a glacier, and that's called a moraine. Now, over many years, glaciers scrape and grind their way down mountains, carving out valleys as they go. And that's how they create these sharp, jagged ridges, these big bowls or cirques that Auyuittuq is famous for. Now, do you remember Mount Asgard in the video, that mountain that looked like a barrel? Now, how did it get such a flat top? Now, Auyuittuq is also well known for a huge area of ice called the Penny Ice Cap. Now, ice caps are giant glaciers that sit on top of mountains, so they tend to spread out in the shape of a dome, kind of like a blanket on the top of mountains. Now, an ice cap is what would have caused that flat top on Mount Asgard or Katauyanwa. Here in Akshayuk Pass, you can really see how glaciers shape the land. And the valley we walk through has that classic U shape that glaciers leave behind as they move through. I highlighted it in the photo. Isn't it cool? Now, as you probably know, glaciers are melting because of climate change, and Inuit and scientists are working together to study these changes. And scientists go to the glaciers to do measurements like what you're seeing in this quick little video. And they also look at the glaciers from far away using satellites or aircraft. And this year is super special for glaciers because 2025 is the International Year of Glacier Preservation. It's a chance for everyone around the world to learn why glaciers, snow, and ice are so important for our planet. They help keep our climate balanced, they provide water for people and animals, and they affect the environment in big ways. And changes to these glaciers can have big effects. In Auyuittuq, for example, flooding is becoming more common as the glaciers melt faster in the summertime. Now, while it might seem like we can't directly protect something as massive as a glacier, many small actions together can make a big difference in fighting climate change. And maybe after this presentation, your class can brainstorm some ways in which we can all help to protect places like this. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the UN International Year of Glacier Preservation, check out their website. Now, let's continue on from Glacier Lake to our next stop, the Owl River.
We reached the Owl River, which flows from highest point in Akshayuk Pass all the way to the ocean. As we are walking, we might get lucky and actually see an owl. Wouldn't that be cool? The snow owl is called Auyuittuq in Inuit. That's not too hard to pronounce. It is Auyuittuq.
Auyuittuq. Got it.
Auyuittuqs like to eat animals like Arctic hare, ducks, and seabirds, and one of his favorite food is the lemming, avinga. Can you say that with me?
Yep.
Avinga.
Yeah.
Avinga.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, Auyuittuq are very small little rodents that reproduce very quickly, and they're great at surviving in the Arctic. Now, as herbivores or plant eaters, their favorite food is grass, moss, leaves, bark, and seeds. Yummy, hey? Now, like the Arctic fox, they have a warm winter coat, very tiny ears, and little short legs to make sure that they don't lose too much body heat. And they also dig tunnels in the snow. Now, I have a very cool fact to share about collared lemmings. It's a subspecies that we find here in the Arctic. They grow special winter claws on their third and fourth toes. Now, these claws, they act like tiny little shovels to dig in the snow. Handy, right? Now, lemmings are a very important food source for many predators. And if lemming populations drop, it can throw off the balance of the Arctic tundra. Lemmings are important food for the ermine and the Arctic fox. We talked about those sneaky little critters earlier. But there's someone else who loves lemmings, and it's his favorite food ever. And it's the snowy owl. Now, take a guess in the chat. How many lemmings do you think a snowy owl eats per year? What do you think? They're incredible hunters.
400?
They fly low and silently, using their sharp eyesight and hearing to detect prey, even under the snow. How many do you think each year?
3,000 our first guess. 1,000 to 1,500 is a guess. Let's see what we got on YouTube. 1,000 to about 1,000 up to 3,000 is our guesses so far.
That's pretty good, actually. Yeah. Matthew, yours was a little low. Well, they eat around 1,600 lemmings a year, about 3 to 5 per day. That's impressive, isn't it?
Wow.
Now, to help them hunt, snowy owls have very large eyes, about the same size as ours, actually, but they can't move their eyes like we do. They stay in place. Instead, what they do is they turn their heads. So they have super flexible necks that can turn up to 270 degrees. That's almost right around. Now, you can look at this diagram here to see how far 270 degrees is. That's amazing, isn't it? Now, let's turn our attention back to the route. We're almost at the end of our journey through the pass. Now, our journey through Akshayuk Pass ends now that we've reached North Pangerton Fjord. And from here, we'll go on another exciting boat ride right through beautiful North Pangerton Fjord to the community of Auyuittuq. The waters here are full of marine wildlife, so we'll keep our eyes peeled and we might spot whales, narwhals, walruses, and of course seals along the way. And in the fall, the waters in fjords like this are some of the first places to freeze. And polar bears need ice to hunt, so this is where they come to hunt seals, their favorite food. Now, seals are packed with nutrients and fat, making them the perfect meal for a hungry polar bear preparing for winter. Now, shall we say their Inuktitut names together?
Yes.
Okay, polar bear is Nanook.
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 Nanook. I know that from when I was a boy. Nanook of the North.
Good
Yes.
job. And seal is Nutjip. Nutjip.
Gotcha.
Nutjip. Awesome. These animals are amazing to watch, and they also very important to Inuit communities. They provide healthy food, clothing, and tools, and they are a big part of our tradition and culture. Inuit have lived, hunted, and traveled in this park for thousands of years. We still do many of these activities today, like fishing, hiking, bear picking, dog sledding, and in modern time, also snowmobiling. These traditions keep us connected to the land and our history. We know the land, water, and ice better than anyone. A lot of what happened in the park is guided by our traditional knowledge called Auyuittuq. This is impressive word, right? It includes wisdom about animals, the season, the weather, working and living together, and how everything is connected in our environment. Our knowledge is passed on from generation to generation. When I was a kid, my father brought me hunting and taught me about the land, and I do the same with my kids.
Yeah, that's super important, right? Think about your own family. What traditions would you want to pass down? Maybe that's a way of cooking or an activity or outdoor adventure you'd like to join to do in your area, or a favorite food or a holiday tradition. Traditions they can help connect us to our past and they shape our future as well.
Wow, we made it to all the way to our destination, Auyuittuq. In Inuktitut, that means Big Island. This is a small community with about 600 people. It actually sits on another island next to Baffin Island. It's a perfect place to finish our adventure. We hope you learned a lot and enjoyed our trip through the Auyuittuq National Park. Ayungi, that means well done in Inuktitut.
Ayungi, awesome. Well, thank you for joining our adventure through Auyuittuq National Park. Does anyone have questions? I guess we're going to Kahoot first, right?
We'll do that first, but we have so many questions already, and I've already let the classes know if you have questions that don't get answered live with us, please email them to us at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. We'll pass them along to Matthew and Meryl. We'll make sure you get your questions answered because it's such a rare and special opportunity to get to explore such a special place as Nunavut and our epic hike today. So please do share extras, but we'll begin with a little Kahoot. For those who are new to Kahoot, the faster you answer, the more points you get. And what you win is Matthew and Meryl's everlasting respect. So, no pressure at all. I've got our Kahoot quiz up, and we're going to get underway. And then, Mr. Hancock, we're going to come to you first for questions. Miss Steinoff, Miss Mira's class. Let's say, we got some more. Our grade 4 Wapanoke class. Aluki School's back in. Man, everybody's in today. So, we're going to take as many questions as we can. But let's get underway with this Kahoot to begin. What a special journey today. And I think I did halfway decent pronouncing the word. Some of them anyway. The Nook I did pretty well on, I think. All right. Question 1. The world's largest vertical cliff. We met this on our journey. It's called what? Is it called Mount Olympus, Iron Man Mountain, Thor Peak, or Hulk Rock? All sound good. All harken back to my Marvel days of watching too many movies in the theaters. But it's such a truly, I was telling Meryl and Matthew, the first time I saw this in a picture, I thought it was fake. It's the most remarkable mountain, I think, in the world. And so, yes, Thor Peak, way to go. Mount Olympus is real too, but it's just not in Nunavut. It's in Greece. All right. Mountain Giraffe, good name for our leader. Question 2. This is multi-select, so there's more than one right answer here. Some examples of mammals that change their coat to blend in the winter are ermine, Arctic fox, moose, or muskox. We had 2 of these on a slide. Who was paying attention? These are all animals in Canada's north. In fact, I'm used to moose all the time living in Newfoundland, like the moose capital of the world, but might not be our answer for today. Let's see what we get. 65 answers in. Yes, Arctic fox and ermine. Very good, everybody. Way to go. Okay, let's see what that does to our leaderboard. Silver frog, way to go, taking the lead. 2 more questions, and then we're going to your questions. People have lived in Nunavut for how long? A few decades, several hundred years, 1,000 years, or many thousands of years? I will say this. When people crossed from Asia to North and South America, they came through the north and settled immediately. And so how long has that been? Let's see what we've got here. Many, many thousands of years. 77 answers. Ooh, look at the mix. No, so we've been there a few decades, but the Inuit people have been there for many, many thousands of years. And so way to go to most of you who got that right. Okay, Giving Panda takes our lead. The leaderboard's all over the place. Now, it's almost impossible to get to Nunavut. I'm really curious what people take from this, because there are some places in Nunavut that are very challenging to get to, but we did talk about getting there by plane and an Ottawa direct flight to Akshayuk. So let's see what we got. The answer is 3 more seconds, 78 of you, and so many of you in our Kahoot. Let's see. Oh, look, about even split. So full, you can get to Nunavut. Anyone can go on a commercial airline. If you've ever flown to, British Columbia or Newfoundland or Montreal or Florida or anywhere, you can do that same thing and get up to Canada's north, one of the most special places on this planet. And if you want to do that epic adventure, that's a little harder, but it's only 2 planes. So there you go. I encourage you, if you get a chance in your life, to head to Canada's north. It's one of the most special places on planet Earth. And I hope this program has inspired you to do so. All right, our winner for all the marbles is Giving Panda. But if you are anyone who joined us, thank you so, so much. And we're going to dive in with our question period now. So Mr. Hancock joining us in Georgetown, come on in and take us away with our first question. Hey, guys.
Morning. One of our students was wondering, what are some other species that also live up there that you didn't mention in your presentation?
Ooh, other animals of the north.
Well, there's caribou, Arctic hare,
Arctic hare, lots of birds too.
ptarmigan. What else would there be?
Falcon, peregrine falcon.
Yeah, peregrine falcon. A lot of Arctic Canada geese, snowy geese, snow bunting birds.
Yeah.
Seagulls. There's tons of wildlife here.
And then in the ocean as well, beluga whales, narwhals, a lot of the great whales. Your coasts are just brimming with some of the most amazing creatures on planet Earth.
Bowhead whales. Last year we had humpback whale up here. We
cool.
don't see humpback whales often.
No.
Yeah. Orca.
More and more orca too, which is fascinating in and of itself. So again, some of the great predators, great species on this planet are in Canada's north, and we featured a lot of this. Arctic hare, I just want to stress for kids, there's an amazing series by the BBC called Frozen Planet not too long ago, and they featured a landscape in Nunavut on Ellesmere Island with thousands and thousands of Arctic hare, and Arctic hare is not like a little bunny. Arctic hare is like a big, large animal in this herd. I've never seen anything like it. I'm going to try and find the clip for our classes, because it's an animal that we might be inclined to go, oh yeah, Arctic hare, and they're really special. So great question, guys. It's Steinhoff's class. We're going to head to you guys next. Come on in and take us away. Hey.
Do you guys have Inuit in the park?
Ooh.
Yes, we do. There's a lot of visitors do trying to make Inuit, but we do take those out. They can lead to misleading information, but we do have quite a bit of Inuit in our park.
Yeah, because Matthew, Inuit used to be used to navigate, right? Inuit used to use them for navigation.
That's correct. Navigation, and also where good hunting is.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've seen a really cool one that, like an Inuit, that actually has a little window in it too, where you can, when you look through the window, you can see the next Inuit way down the valley, right?
That's right.
Really cool. Yeah.
In all our programs, I've never heard of the actual purpose of them before. So I guess for our classroom equivalent, imagine if someone went around putting up the same street sign in different streets all over the place. You would take those down because it would be confusing and odd and bad in a number of ways. And so that's so cool. Oh, professional detachment out the window. Thank you two so much. Miss Myrna's class, I know you're having a little bit of trouble with the tech. If you want to flick on your mic, we can come and check in with you in a second. Let's head to our grade 4 Wampanoag class. Hello, folks. Come on in. Unmute your mic.
Hello.
Hello.
Our class is wondering how climate change has been affecting Nunavut and the park.
Great question.
Well, with the climate change, we see a lot of the river change, and they have become more challenging to cross each year. Every year is different, so that has made the river crossing challenging in our park.
We talked a lot about climate change in our program with the British Columbia parks too, and this is going to keep coming up in the entire park series. But climate change is affecting everything and everywhere, whether it's wildlife distribution, whether it's how people move across the land. That's a big issue in Canada's north that sort of we're not familiar with down in Toronto, Newfoundland even. And so I really encourage our classes, don't just come to expert programs like this one where you get to hear what the firsthand accounts are. Talk to your teachers, talk to your parents, see how the weather's changed since they were kids. I mean, even since I was a boy, it's radically different from when I was growing up. And that's why it underscores why we need to take such action to protect it and try and mitigate it, because it's an issue literally everywhere. So great question, guys. All right, YouTubers, there's so many. Miss Ford's group has a neat one. Where do you get bark above the tree line? So if you're making things that require bark or require wood, how do you do that if you're above the place where trees grow? Do you trade, or what's the...
I'm not an expert in that, but nowadays we get it shipped here. Before,
Yes.
I guess it will be a driftwood.
Yep.
In the ocean.
Interesting.
It might be a little different further south from here, but here we absolutely don't have any trees or any birds here.
So,
And if you're thinking about the lemming, the lemming that eats the bark,
yeah.
we do have Arctic willow, and that has bark on it that a lemming could eat.
Okay. Very neat. Well, we do have a few lemming questions, actually. So what would happen if lemmings went extinct? This is from Caesar in Nicaragua.
Ooh, that would be bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be bad.
Yeah.
It would be bad for Arctic fox, tilapia, snowy owl.
We don't want species to go extinct for many reasons, because they're inherently valuable in and of themselves. But when species do go extinct, they tend to really affect the ecosystem around them, especially if you have a food web or a community where animals rely on one another to survive. If one animal goes extinct, it's like pulling a bolt out of a plane. Occasionally, you can probably pull out one screw out of a plane, it'd be fine. But if you keep pulling those screws out, the plane falls apart. And so we don't want to do that to our ecosystems. And species conservation is a big topic we come back to a lot here at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. So I love that question. Thank you, Caesar. All right, Miss Riddle's class, she asked, when you're walking through, do you have to watch out for polar bears, Matthew?
Up north, you always have to watch out for polar bears. But you're in the valley and you don't have any trees to obstruct your view. So if you see a white thing in the distance, that the chances are it might be a polar bear.
Yeah.
But don't be too afraid. They do avoid you too, so they don't always go after you.
Yeah. I remember I was in Churchill, Manitoba, which is the polar bear capital of the world, famously. And when you're on the boat looking for them, you see all these white things and you go, oh, it's a bear. Oh, no, it's a rock. Oh, it's a bear. No, it's a rock. And we call them bear rocks. And then I finally saw this thing that looked exactly like a polar bear. I said, oh, that must be a statue. And then it started moving and I was like, oh, it is a polar bear. Very exciting to see a polar bear, especially from the water where you're not going to run into them. Great question, guys. Okay, we're going to take one more before we wrap up. I know you have more questions than we could possibly take in one broadcast, but please do email them to us at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. We'll pass them along to Meryl and Matthew. But let's see a great question. Are there other ways to learn Inuktitut? So you talked about the language at the beginning. If someone wanted to learn it, is there a way they could go about doing that, Matthew?
I think there is. But I never looked into it, so I might give you a wrong answer if I tried to give you an answer.
We got to come up and learn it from you, I think, is our goal.
Well,
There's
that
schools
would be a
you can
start.
go to, classes you can take in Iqaluit, for example, that teach to non-native speakers. Yeah, totally.
Well, this is a great lead-in question. I said that was going to be our last, but I lied. And so the question that I want to highlight is, are there many tourists that come to Nunavut? So again, if people wanted to come and visit, how would they go about doing that? And how many people come nowadays?
Well, for us, we only track our visitors that goes into the park. So
Yeah.
it's usually average about 300 to 500 each year.
Yeah.
At one point, we reached 1,000 visitors, but that's when Nunavut got created. So I think there's a lot of tourists that come up to Nunavut, not just only to Auyuittuq. So all I know is about our visitors in the park to Auyuittuq.
Yeah,
Hopefully more and more, but in a respectful way. So we've been covering this from the research ship angle, and we've been partnering with a lot of ships that have been going and exploring Canada's north. And it's such a transformative experience, as you saw today in the landscapes. Like, this is one of the most amazing places on planet Earth. But we want to make sure, as we send more and more tourists up to explore the north, that it's respectful to communities. It works in partnership with communities. The funding from that goes back to the communities, because these lands are being opened up for more people by those communities. And so I think that's a really, really important thing that Parks Canada is starting to do a really nice job with. And we're so excited to get to share some of these places with you over the course of the Parks Adventure series. So please do check out the rest. Share this one with your family and friends. It's on our YouTube channel. And we just love that over 1,000 of you today joined to take us on the adventure. So Meryl, Matthew, before we wrap up and say goodbye to our classes, is there any last message you both want to leave us with before we say farewell?
Well, come visit, I guess.
Come visit.
Yeah, come visit. It's very unique, very different. Yeah, come visit us and contact Auyuittuq National Park, and I'll probably be the first person to be contacted.
How cool is that? That's my dream. Okay, Matthew, I'm gonna try and make that happen in the next few years. Okay, get on the next plane. And yeah, thank you two so much for your passion, your expertise, all of it. It's been just an absolutely wonderful ride. Some of our classes had to head off for lunch, but we'll bring in our Wapanoke class to say farewell with us. If you're on YouTube and you want to scream and yell, please do. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Bye, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.